Hello everyone, and welcome back to Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. I'm your host, Lasheena Williams, and I'm so excited to be here with you all and continue this month's conversation on the importance of measurement and evaluation for nonprofit organizations. So today, our very special guest, we have Eric Camarillo. I hope I said that right, Eric. We'll see when you come up. With us today, founder of Salt Outreach. So let's go ahead. I'm going to bring Eric up and we can start the conversation. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Before we get started, I just want to, if you don't mind, just talking a little bit about yourself and how you entered the nonprofit field.
Yeah. It's I started, I live here in Central Florida, and president for Salt Outreach. And honestly, like the nonprofit field, I had become actually a Christian back in 2010, and it kind of changed my worldview. And I was thinking like, all right, God, what can I do for you? How can I move my energy and my passion towards something that will benefit him? So I went ahead and started an organization without really knowing how to start an organization. I went on Google, watched some things on YouTube. You know what I mean? And we managed to get things going. But yeah, eventually, as I was studying, I was looking for what to study in school. I did social work as a way to like help me learn how to better serve the people that we were serving. And then I did my master's in nonprofit management to help me kind of build capacity to grow the organization. And so yeah, that's kind of how it all happened. I went to school not necessarily for a specific role. It was just, hey, this is what I want to study because this is what I think will benefit the organization. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I entered, I guess. Yeah.
Love it. So tell us about Salt Outreach.
Yeah, so SALT is we serve the people experiencing homelessness, and we at our main location in downtown. We operate 5 days a week. We're serving over 100 people a day experiencing homelessness with 12 different services, and those services include case management to help end homelessness for people, and mental health counseling. Um, when it comes to the services, I think one thing that's unique about us and is that we can provide most of our services in mobile form. So we run, drop-in centers are usually brick and mortar buildings where people experiencing homelessness can get access to these services. But in a lot of communities, a brick and mortar building is not an option. So being able to create a drop-in center for people experiencing homelessness on wheels is kind of what we kind of grew into organically. So we provide, our showers we provide through a shower trailer. We provide laundry through a laundry trailer. We just finished building our mental health counseling trailer, so we'll be able to provide. It's actually a trailer it's pretty big, and it has a mental health counseling office like designed inside to help provide
Mm.
that service on wheels. A clothing and hygiene trailer. I mean, so that's kind of our model. And our vision is that every metropolitan area has a drop-in center for people experiencing homelessness. So in the U.S., so we're looking to also duplicate that model and really spread across the U.S. So we have some chapters: Tampa, Daytona, Sanford, Charlotte, San Diego. So we're continuing to kind of take these services and this model to other places, other communities.
Awesome. So let's go back to when you first started the organization. Was this part of, like, did you see this as part of the vision? Like this is where, the organization is gonna go. This is where I want it to go. Or did you kind of just it just started creating itself as you went along?
Yeah. So you know what? Honestly, when we started the organization, we had a vision. We had it on our heart, and I had it on my heart that one day, you know, every job I had didn't really satisfy me. I didn't feel that sense of fulfillment. So I had dreamed one day of doing this work full time. And someone had told me early on in my when I was getting started, well, if you can't find a job, if you can't find your dream job, then create it.
Mm-hmm.
As we built the nonprofit, we really were just focused on meeting the needs of the people we served. I mean, we did surveys with the people we were serving, and as we heard their feedback, that informed our growth. So then, we found out clothing and hygiene products was hard for them to access in downtown. So we said, okay, let's bring a clothing trailer. We found out people, and through the surveys, people weren't showering in up to 3 months, but they were going on job interviews. So we said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's get a shower trailer. So this is what informed our growth, and we organically evolved into what we are today. But as we've grown, we've been more strategic and intentional with how we continue to operate and increasing efficiency and all that good stuff. But it's all about just trying to serve the most people, trying to help end homelessness for more people, trying to share the character of Christ, with more people on the street. So, and this is how we do it. So, yeah.
Love it. So this month's topic is the importance of measurement and evaluation for nonprofit organization. So within your organization, how have has measuring the impact played a role when it comes to your organization?
Yeah, so I think in the homeless services arena, I think I think there's a struggle around measuring impact because, like, for example, providing a shower for somebody, right? We could go at the end of the year and we could say we provide 15,000 showers for people experiencing homelessness, right? But what outcome does that lead to? You know what I mean? And how are showers actually making an impact for people? And so, like, we've connected. We did a study back in that studied August of 2020 through the first quarter of March of 2022. And we were looking at that. We're like, okay, how do these services play a role in ending homelessness? So we found out that over that period of time, a little over 1,000 people after services with SALT transitioned into housing. So we found that there was that we were involved in that person's story. And so, because we were thinking, how do we connect handing out a hygiene product, giving someone a shower, helping them with a load of laundry? How do we connect that to housing outcomes? And that was kind of the way that we did it. And we
Mm,
found out of those 1,000 people that every one of those people received on average 4 showers, 5 loads of laundry, one haircut, and 2 case management appointments. So then we kind of we narrowed it down even more. Okay, what is our involvement? Um,
mm-hmm,
and so and then there's other things. I mean, obviously, like, measuring and evaluating is helpful for us to communicate to donors and to the general public how them helping us provide a shower for someone actually makes a difference. But on the other side of it, we want to do that measuring and evaluating for us to be able to be more efficient. And so the more efficient we are, the more people we can serve, the more people we can engage. So, like, things that we measure are like, of the people that receive outreach services with us, and outreach services as in, mail service or laundry or showers or whatever, how many of them transition to our case management team? So we're measuring
mm,
that, like, after an outreach service, how many go to case management? And just to give you an example, in 2022, 13% of those we served transitioned to case management. But in 2023, 25% transition. So we
mm,
saw a 92% increase in that transition rate. Of the people that our case management team housed, of the unique individuals our case management team saw, 6% they helped directly transition into housing in 2022. But in 2023, that was 9%. So we saw a 50% increase in efficiency in getting
mm,
people housed. And so, like, even things like, I'm really passionate about this because data is very big for our organization. So Even with laundry, when we were first doing laundry, we realized that we were doing about 35 loads in the beginning, 30 to 35 loads. But in kind of measure, kind of comparing the time and staff and funds and the amount of people that come to us, those that get turned away because we can't get them in, our
Mm.
team was able to increase efficiency to do 55 loads of laundry in the same period of time. So
Wow.
those that, I mean, it's just so important for every organization to really put an emphasis on data analysis, evaluation, measurement, and that's how, I mean, that's how the organizations are that's how your organization is going to grow. You know what I mean? Is being able to track that stuff effectively. So
I love it. And I love that you touched on not only the importance of knowing that information to be able to tell your story to your donors, but also for you to better understand the efficiencies of your organization. So I love that you kind of touched on that, not only for the external reasons, but you also need to know this information for your internal reasons. So, building efficiency, now we can do 55 loads versus the 40. That means we can serve more through
yeah,
doing, and then also, I love that you shared being able to really find how like the role you all play in those that you serve, connecting that to housing. And you mentioned earlier in the conversation how even being able to have the proper hygiene to go on a job interview, like that being part of being a part of that person's journey
right.
to come out of homelessness. So I love that you shared that. Any other tips that you have for nonprofits tuning in that's in this place trying to understand the importance of measuring impact?
Yeah. Honestly, like, I think one thing that's important too is, when you're measuring impact and you're evaluating, I think it's important for that to also inform your future decisions as an organization. So not just the efficiency part, not just for communication purposes, but also for your growth as an organization. So for example, we did a correlation chart, and we showed um, what services are most tied to someone receiving case management. And we found out that of all the 9 outreach services we offer, and we even looked at the community as a whole and the services that they offer, laundry and mail was the most correlated to transitioning to case management. So we said, okay, we got to figure out how to get more laundry loads in. We need to figure out how to get
Mm,
more mail clients in, because this is getting people to case management. So I think that that's important. And it might seem tedious, it might seem like, oh, is there a point to this or whatever? But I honestly, like, um, we owe it to the people we serve to be looking at this data and to figure out, like, how we can better serve them. We need to do that, and we see I mean, we see over 3,000 unduplicated people a year at least.
mm.
And so, being able to capture that data and use it to inform our decisions is also really important. So I wanted to make sure I mention that too, when it comes to growth.
Oh, that's great. So there's a lot of viewers that's founders of organizations. Some may just be starting out, some may have been in the field for a while. Um, and I kind of want like you to kind of put on that hat of when I first started out and I was that first founder. And then now here the organization is today. What are some tips you have that you feel help contribute to the growth of the organization from its founding stages to where you all are now?
Yeah. So, we, for context, we saw a lot of growth in a quick time. We probably, from 2019 to 2022, we grew by 30 times, a revenue
Wow.
of 90,000 to now a revenue of close to 3 million in 2022.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
so, it was a really tough, 3 years, or what, yeah, 3 years. So, um, and even now, like, 2023, we're starting to stabilize and kind of get our footing on solid ground, because we were just seeing this steep incline over a quick period of time. honestly, I think one thing for sure is that's going to be important is consistency. I think, in those beginning stages, it's a struggle, right? Sometimes volunteers don't show up, sometimes you don't have the help, sometimes your leaders all leave you, sometimes you don't have the funding to actually do what you want to do. A lot of the times, most of the money you make is going to your nonprofit. But I would urge anyone that's a founder, um, to not give up and to keep going, because I think about some of the key moments in our history, and if we would have stopped at a certain point, we would not even if we stopped temporarily, even if we stopped for 6 months, a year, we would not be where we are today, because there are those key moments that happen. You never know when they're going to happen, and it's going to take things to the next level. And so, if it's a passion of theirs, and if it's something that they believe they're called to do, to just keep going. And I always say that too, like, I think it's important, like, especially with our faith-based, my faith-based brothers and sisters out there that are
Mm-hmm.
founders, like, you have to know 100% that God has called you to this, like, not 99% or even 99.9%. You need to know 100%, because if you don't, then that 0.01% is going to come creeping into your mind, and it's going to cause you to doubt. And instead of looking at an obstacle as a speed bump, you're going to look at it as like a wall, just with that
Mm-hmm.
0.101%. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, I think that that's important, is that consistency. I think second, um, there are a lot of organizations that we've seen in this space that have risen up and that have also fizzled out. You know what I mean? And I think a big part of that has to do with, measuring and data and evaluation, because, when you're trying to get the bigger dollars, when you're applying for grants, when you're talking to donors, they want to know what difference you're making. And I understand that a lot of a lot of the people that are founders, maybe with smaller organizations just getting started, they're just focused on the work, and that's good that they're focused on the work, and they're passionate about the work, and that's why they're doing that. And I love that. You know what I mean? But if you're not, if you're serving, let's say, the people experiencing homelessness, and a donor comes to you and says, well, how are your efforts helping to end their homelessness? You have to have an answer for that. you know just saying that you've done 12,000 meals in a year or something like that is not compelling enough to get
Mm-hmm.
people to be a part of that story, of your story. Data, measuring, evaluation, all of that tells a deep story, and really, highlights your impact. So, and there were times, I mean, back in 2020, I was literally, we didn't have a data analyst, and I don't know anything about data analysis or anything. So I was doing all of our data, and I recruited a team member to help me see,
Mm-hmm.
after services with SALT, how many people went into housing. That meant that what that meant was, like, let's say John Smith comes to services with SALT. Now I'm going into a database, and I'm looking at John Smith's path after SALT all the way through to housing. And that was tedious. That was going through a system manually. Now we have a data analyst that can just make a code and tell the story. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But you
Right.
have to do that grinding up front. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way you're gonna get to that next level. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I'm sure the founders listening, and even for me just listening in, that's such an inspiration and continuous motivation. Because we know in the nonprofit sector, it is not easy. There
Mhm.
are days where that doubt will slip in. It's like, is this for me? Like, what what's happening here? But I mean, the reward and the impact and the lives that are changed is worth it.
Yep.
It's worth every bit of it. So, any final tips or anything you want to leave with the audience before we go into a fun game of this or that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, just on the theme of measuring and evaluation, I think at least talking from the space that we're in, and when it comes to homeless services, we have, and I mentioned it a few times, but we have a data team. We have a director of grants and data management. There's a data intake person. We even have a software. We developed our own software.
Mm,
There's like, it's an investment, and it's an admin investment. It's not a program investment. This is an
mm-hmm,
admin investment. And admin
mm-hmm.
investment, I know it's tough for a lot of people. A lot of times we make those admin investments just on faith, because we don't know if we're going to get that covered, a year or two from now, right? But
Yeah.
but I believe in our space, every organization that serves the unsheltered, or people experiencing homelessness, needs to have some type of data team. um, because honestly, I think if we can, if we get organizations together and they get that combined data, I mean, data, I believe, is so helpful in learning how to end homelessness for people.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm,
so, and then being able to measure and evaluate that helps us to be better servants. And I would just urge, people to take the risk, even if it's with interns. Start with interns. That's what we did. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? And data, people in that field, they're always looking to make a difference, and they want to make a difference with their skills. And now you're providing an outlet for them to be able to help end homelessness for people through data analysis. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? Like that's special to people, especially in the generation today. I remember we posted an internship position for our data analyst. The first time we did it, we have over 150 people, and it was unpaid. You know what I mean? But it's because these young people today, like these Gen Zers, they want to make a difference. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And if they can do that through their trade, which is data analysis, I mean, hey, that's great for our sector. So take advantage of that.
Awesome. And how can people learn more about SALT or outreach and keep in contact?
Yeah, so they can go to our website at saltoutreach.org. Um, you can email me too. I don't mind. Eric,
Mhm,
ERIC, at saltoutreach.org. If people want to maybe make a donation, you can text
mhm.
"pass the salt" to
Ooh,
44321. That's "pass the salt" to 44321. And then we're also on Instagram and Facebook. They stay pretty active. Facebook is Salt Outreach Inc. INC, and Instagram is Salt Outreach.
awesome. All right, before we end today's conversation, I just want to do a quick game or this or that so we can get to know you a little bit more. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to give you two options and you let me know which one is your preference, okay?
Okay.
All right, so board games or video games?
Yeah, board games for sure.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I remember when I was actually, this is a funny story. When I was 20 years old, I won an online video game tournament. I was placed number 7 in the world in that game. And
What?
then they flew out the top 11 to Czech Republic, and we did a one-on-one tournament. I placed third place in the world in the game, in the game there. But like, honestly, like, that game was taking up so much of my time. When I commit myself to something, I want to be the best at it. And so video games, if I started playing again, I'd want to be like the best at that game,
Mhm.
and it would like consume me almost. So I'm like, you know what? Board games have an
Board
end.
games?
Yeah, yeah. So what, yeah, even Monopoly doesn't really have much of an end. I mean, that can go on forever,
No.
I guess. Yeah, yeah. But so I kind of stay away from Monopoly. But yeah, any other board games, I'm just more likely to do that.
Look, okay. Pen and paper or digital notes?
Yeah, it's been so long since I've written anything. I think I've forgotten how to write. Honestly, I'm like, how do you do this letter? Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So I would much rather stay away from pen and paper. Yeah.
All right. Cake or pie?
Oh man, this is a good one. I think I would probably do, it depends on the cake and pie though.
Oh,
But I'm actually on a plant-based diet, so I'm vegan.
okay.
So I would probably do, if there was a vegan pecan pie, that would
Mm,
that would surpass
that would be
everything
it?
else.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, last but not least, early bird or night owl?
Um, I'm probably more of a night owl. Yeah, probably more of a night owl, but I don't want to be. I want to be an early
Mhm.
bird, but that's always been a struggle for me. I mean, as I
Mhm.
get older, it gets easier to wake up though, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Oh, I get that. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today and just motivating and inspiring. I know you've been motivated and inspired me, so I know those tuning in, you've done the same. So I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us today.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Thanks anytime.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Bye,
All
everyone.
right. Bye.